What's up guys, what's going on, and welcome back to another video. So today's video, as you can tell by the title, is my top 5 favorite summer baits to catch big ol' bass. First of all, I want to say thank all you guys so much. We just hit 10,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. It's such a huge milestone for me. It's a big upgrade from 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. We finally hit that 10K mark. And I've been looking for that for a long time, and honestly, I never thought I would hit it. With your guys' continuous support, all the love you guys have been giving the channel recently, I've been loving filming, I've been loving going out fishing and putting out content for you guys, and it seems like you guys have been digging it too. I just wanted to start the video off by saying thank you so much for all the recent love and support, and now we're on the road to 20K, I guess, or we'll do 15. We'll do 15,000. That's our next goal. So start the hashtag road to 15K. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So the baits I'm gonna show you guys that I got all in this box right here are baits that I've had all the baits I think that all you need to catch summer bass. Now, I'm gonna start with number 1 in a second, but I do wanna say most of these baits are baits that I've used in all my videos. So if you guys watch my videos before, if you are not new here and you see a lot of my videos, you're gonna see a lot of these baits and they're gonna be very familiar. If you are new here, consider hitting that subscribe button down below because hey, road to 15K. I'm not gonna talk anymore. Let's get into it. Coming in at number 5, we have the topwater frog. Water frog, you see this frog right here? A little different, but nonetheless, this is catching me a lot of fish. I've been using it a lot the last couple of weeks. It's been slaying it for me. The reason I say topwater frog is because early morning in the summer and more in the evening and like at night, those are the best times that you're going to throw a frog on any pond or lake. Now, my favorite time to throw these in the summertime is definitely early in the morning, around sunrise or so, before the water starts to heat up and the bass move deep, and at night when the bass are coming in again shallow and looking for a big old meal. Now, I will say the only exception with throwing this thing in the afternoon, if you're fishing a pond or a section of a lake that is like covered with lily pads or weeds that are just on top of the water, I'd pick up the frog. A lot of people don't like to throw a frog in the afternoon, and I wouldn't in open water, but if you have a bunch of cover, like lily pads and thick grass, don't be afraid to pick up a frog and toss it through there with some heavy braid because bass will sit right under those lily pads because under those weeds and lily pads, it is cooler down there. It's a cooler temperature because it's providing cover and shade for those bass. And with this thing bouncing right over their heads, they might just smack it. Catches me a lot of fish, especially this year. And that is bait number 5, monster break. Another favorite lure of mine to throw in the summer is right here, the swim jig. Let's get this one to focus in on the swim jig. Right here is a swim jig. I'm not sure where the jig head is from, but this back end right here I will show you is a Biospawn Exo Swim. I got some in other colors too. They're really durable and I cut this one down to fit this one perfectly. But the reason I love swim jigs is because right now this kind of imitates a shad right here. And I would have a bluegill color one right here, but I lost it last week on a rock. Just imagine there's a bluegill one right here. And the biggest thing about this is that you're matching the hatch. Bass in the summer are always feeding on either the shad or the bluegill. Before you fish a pond or lake, just know if there's shad in there, if there's more shad than bluegill, throw a shad one. If you're fishing a pond like me, I like to fish a lot of neighborhood ponds. I know a lot of you guys do as well. Pick up a bluegill color one. I show you it right here, but I don't have it. But you want to pick up a bluegill color one. You want to match the hatch. Matching the hatch is sometimes the perfect thing. Bass will always go eat a bluegill if it's swimming right in front of his face. So the way I like to work this thing, I like to throw it in front of the weed line, right below it, so the bass are under the weeds. You'll see your bluegill on the outside, and they might dart out and get it. I also like to toss this thing around timber, docks, literally anything. Just to cover water is just a bluegill going around, and the bass seem to love it. I'd say the biggest thing with a swim jig is you want to cover water with this thing, and you really want to match the hatch for the certain lake or pond that you're on. And this is a bait I haven't used too often in the past, but I picked it up earlier in the year, and I really like it, and it's produced a lot of good fish for me. That is bait number 2. Now we're moving on. Monster break. Bait number 3, my 3rd favorite bait to throw in the summertime, and you guys see me tossing this year round, is a jig right here. I love a good football jig. Right here, I got a couple of jigs right now. This is like a Googan Squad little juice jig with a bandito bug, and this is a diesel jig, I believe, with a Carl's Amazing Baits chunk trailer. I've been digging these ones a lot recently, but let me tell you guys why I throw jigs. So a lot of people don't actually know how to throw jigs, and it's really a hard bait to get into because you really don't know what you're doing. But this is why you should get into it. Right now, we're in like the dog days of summer. When the afternoon comes, it is getting hot. The sun is beaming down the water, and that water surface temperature is just getting so hot that all the bass are gonna start moving to the deepest part of the lake, which is normally the middle of the lake. When they're in that deepest part of the lake, they're often more lethargic. They usually feed in the morning and they usually feed at night. so you might not get on a great afternoon bite, but if you throw a jig out deep, you just might. The reason we like to throw jigs is because, one, it imitates a craw. Both of these are craw-like imitating baits. When you're throwing this bait really deep in the water and you're just dragging it super slow off the bottom, I like to drag mine, I like to do little twitches, and sometimes I like to let it sit still, because all those bass down there will just be looking at it, and if a bass sees a nice craw right in front of its face, he's gonna pick it up. That's the reason why I love throwing jigs in the summertime. They catch big bass, and they catch fish year round, but mostly in the summer when it gets to the afternoon and the topwater bite is off and the bass aren't in like shallower water, you gotta go deep with the jig, and that's why it's one of my favorite baits of all time, really. Before I'm moving on, I do want to show you guys some of my favorite trailers to use. Some good trailers are any craw type trailers. I personally love to use Googan Bait Kraken craws. I've used that a lot in the past. I also use a Googan Bait Bandito bug. If you're looking for more of a slimmer profile, sometimes the bass are looking for, instead of like a big chunky jig, they want a slimmer profile jig. Or something I've been really getting into recently are these Carl's Amazing Bait. They're like these double wide chunks, and I'll show you guys these. I used it in actually 2 or 3 videos ago, and all it is just a little chunk like this, and it's got 2 big craw arms. And I actually have one on this jig right here, and I was using this last week and caught a lot of fish on it, and it seems like sometimes the bass, when this thing's hopping off the bottom, these things are just like in the air, they're in the water, just going absolutely nuts, kicking a bunch of dirt around, and they're just floating there, and the bass seem to love this. So something I've been using recently, I always like to experiment with new baits, and these chunks right here, they seem to be getting the job done for me, and I'm definitely gonna be using them for the rest of summer. Being said, let's move on to bait number 4. Right after some monster. Oh, spilled some, that's all right. So bait number 4, and it's very similar to jigs, but it is the Ned Rig. I love the Ned Rig. The Ned Rig is a bait I started using last summer because I heard fantastic things about it, and I just never started using it. But then once I used it last summer, the first time I used it, I caught a fish over 5 pounds, and I was like, okay, this bait is no joke. And so a few of my favorite Ned Rig baits, I love the 10,000 fish Chikoshi bug. This thing is super durable, and those little things on the end, they move around the water, and the fish seem to love them. And something I love to use in murkier water is the Googan Bait Rattling Ned. These rattles in this PB&J color kicked ass for me in my last video. If you guys didn't see that, check it out. I also like this one for murkier water just because it has rattles in it, so the bass can't see as well in stained water, but they can hear. And when they hear this and they see this, they're gonna love it. Sometimes I like using this more than a jig, because when you're jig fishing deep, sometimes a jig's profile can just be too bulky for some bass. Sometimes it's just too big of a meal for them. And that's why you go to the Ned Rig. Ned Rig, when this thing is together, it's this little bait right here, on this little hook right here, using a finesse rod. All I do is I just twitch it slowly off the bottom, and all it is just a little snack for a bass. Even if a bass isn't that hungry, like a bigger bass, if he's not hungry, he still might go for it over a big jig, because that's a pretty big meal for a bass. But a little Ned Rig is just a little bait hopping off the bottom. It's just an extra little meal for them, and they will not hesitate to suck this thing in. I wasn't really a believer in it until I started tossing it last year. Now, if you watch my videos, and especially the last one, I caught 2 fish over 3 pounds using this exact setup right here. So the Ned Rig is definitely a solid summer bait. So I'm in between about using the jig and using this sometimes, but sometimes you gotta find out what they want more and tie both on and see which one they're gonna hit instead. So that is bait number 4, the Ned Rig, one of my favorite baits now. Now, moving on, bait number 5, after Little Monster. Not sponsored, but hey, it could be. So Monster, hit me up. The finale of the video, bait number 5, what I think is a great summer bait, and a bait that I haven't used too often, but I started to tap into it late last summer and caught a couple of fish on it, is the Texas Rig Worm. You guys, I actually filmed a video a long time ago. I actually caught some fish on the Biospot Extra Ribbon. I love this worm. It's a 7-inch worm. I actually threw it on just the Texas Rig and just swimming it slow, swimming it deep above the grass. Bass seem to love the worms in the summertime. And then a bait that I got recently, actually this is pretty new to me and I haven't used it yet, is a 10-inch Googan Bait Mondo worm. Gonna throw it deep for some big old bass around just, I guess, anything like cover, grass, just throwing it everywhere. You know, growing up when I used to fish down in Kentucky, my dad would always throw a worm and I would throw it too. I had no idea why, but it was just catching fish. So it's definitely a bait I haven't used too often, but it's a bait that I want to use more, and I know it catches fish in the summer. So expect some more videos coming up where I'm gonna be using these worms right here, hopefully catch some big old bass deep in the water column this summer. That is bait number 5, and that is gonna do it for today's video. If you guys did learn something in today's video, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. The road to 15K, it starts now. That's awesome to say, huh? So if you guys want to see more tips and tricks, I also post a lot of tips in my Instagram bios when I post a picture, my Instagram stories, and my TikTok. I will link those all down below in the description. I do a lot of tips on TikTok, so definitely check it out. And if you have any questions about anything, always shoot me a DM on Instagram. I reply to everybody. Reply to every single person that ever DMs me, and I can definitely help you out. Thank you so much for sitting down with me today and I hope you really learned a thing or two about catching bass in the summer. I hope you guys take some of my tips and tricks I taught you today and put them to the test. If you do, be sure to send me some pictures. I'd like to know if you guys are catching them with some tips I gave you. Take another great sip of this, and then we're gonna sign you out. I can't even speak. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.